you got grandkids.
I just want to be relevant.
Yes, the same way.
I will call the meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Board of Appeals to order. I would remind any member of the public that's here that might want to speak that you should sign in. If you have not already done so, there's a clipboard over here, and I would just ask you to sign your name and address to that clipboard. So the purpose for our hearing today is petition number 2024-051. The applicant is Maria Areola and Salvador Gallardo. The address is on Church Road, Marengo, and the request is for an E5 estate district to a B3 general business district. The 10-acre parcel is on the north side of Church Road, approximately 1,270 feet east of the intersection of Church Road and South Grant Highway, Marengo, Illinois, in Coral Township. At this time, I would like the members of the board to introduce themselves and the township in which they reside, starting on my left.
Mary Donner, Greenwood Township.
Robert Cozen, Algonquin Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kustra in Alden Township.
Vicki Gardner, Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township.
This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from a newspaper is dated September 26, 2024, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of posting was signed and the date posted was October 2, 2024. And the affidavit of mailing was signed and the date mailed was September 24, 2024, and thereby meets ordinance requirements as well. The survey has been checked against the petition, legal notice, and publication in the newspaper, and all three match. The filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation was not required for this petition, and the McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. For the benefit of the public who is here, I'd just like to give you a little background on our rules of procedure. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so we have evidence that's presented. And so if you are going to speak, we want to make sure that you speak clearly because this meeting is being recorded. And then you'll have, if you want to speak, you'll have to come up and state your name and give your address before you speak. What happens is the petitioner will give their testimony, and then they will be asked questions by the board as well as staff. And then at that point, if any member of the public has questions of the petitioner, you will be allowed each 3 minutes to ask your questions. It has to be regarding their testimony. It can't be on anything else but their testimony for this hearing. So I'll have my phone here and I'll just record, and time the speakers. At the end of the questions, you can't make any statements at that time. You can only ask questions. But then after the staff gives their report, before the hearing is finished, you will each be given the opportunity, if you want to make a comment, you will be allowed to do that as well, and you'll have 3 minutes. So I just want you to know how that hearing works. So anyone who will be speaking, whether you're testifying as a petitioner or a member of the public, I would need to swear you in at this time. So if you think you'll be speaking, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I did.
I do.
Okay. I will turn it over to the petitioner. You can present your evidence.
Sure. We want to start by,
Please identify yourself.
I'm
first of
sorry.
all.
My name is Maria Riola. So I'm a petitioner. I'm the owner as well. We own a company called Prime Roll-Off Solutions, which is a family-owned and small business in the area. We offer dumpster rental to homeowners, subdivision developers, industrial park buildings, and commercial construction contractors. We are requesting the board to zone our 10-acre property lot located about 1,000 feet east from the US 20 on Church Road from its current zoning, E5 state to a B3 commercial to support our small business dumpster rental operations. Our immediate plan is to use about 1 acre of land for storing empty dumpster containers when they are not being used on job sites, helping us run our small business efficiently while addressing a local need. We believe our request for rezoning our lot is well aligned with the nearby lots about 440 feet west of our property, which are already zoned B3 by the McHenry County. While these are still undeveloped commercial properties along the Grand Way in Church, they are geared towards larger investors and corporations, making them unaffordable for small businesses like ours. Rezoning this property to B3 would help us provide an affordable and immediate solution, preventing this residential lot from remaining vacant and allowing us to put it into productive use right away. While our current focus right now is outdoor storage for a small business, rezoning it to B3 would also pave the way for future development as our business grows. We envision expanding the property in future to offer services that align with B3 zoning goals, adding value to the community. We see the potential for the property to become a center for residents and small businesses offering secure storage, including storage condos for large personal items like RVs, boats, trailers, and classic cars and business inventory. We understand that the township's concerns and about introducing uses that might conflict with future planning, potential road strain during winter, and noise disturbance. However, we believe that these concerns can effectively be addressed by explaining the nature of our operations. Our small business is managed entirely through phones and online orders, eliminating the need for staff office or visits to the property by any customers. The land will solely be used for storing empty containers in our trucks when they're not in use, resulting in minimal on-site activity and making it a low-impact site. The way our business works is by exchanging dumpsters directly from job sites to another job site, drastically reducing the need of access to the property constantly. This means minimal traffic, minimal disruption of the surrounding areas, and minimal noise compared to what the surrounding subdivisions such as Henny Estates and homeowners are already experiencing by the US Highway 20, which is also a truck route. We owe about 35 dumpster containers, but not all of them are inside at the same time, as most of the containers are usually rented out. We understand that Church Road has a weight limitation in the winter, but it's important to note that we would only be traveling a short distance, about 1,000 feet from US 20 and about 440 feet from an existing lot, Zone B3, to reach to our property. We want to emphasize that our dumpster stores on the property will be empty. Our trucks, when carrying empty dumpsters, don't weigh more than 30,000 pounds and will not impose any additional weight on Church Road. This is not different than what is already being handled in the wintertime with garbage trucks that can weigh up to 54,000 pounds running on our roads, picking up the residents' garbage. Moreover, the winter is a slow season for us with minimum activity, further reducing the potential impact. We want to clarify that the land indeed remains vacant under the current E5 state zoning that in McHenry County is a zoning district for a single-family home on property of 5+ acre lots. According to McHenry records, no residential development has been taking place in the last 85 years on this property. Finally, we believe that rather than lowering property values, a storage site that serves local small businesses and residents will improve the area by providing essential services to the communities and generating tax revenue to local government, funding crucial services like schools, fire departments, police departments, and roads.
In your application, you had to address the approval standards for the map amendments.
Yes.
Would you like to incorporate your answers into the testimony for this hearing today?
Sure, I can go over the answers. So the first question is the proposed zoning designation. So we do think that, the proposed zoning is well aligned with the current existing B3 lots that already exist about 440 feet away from the property. I'm just gonna go over the answer. Some nearby parcels are already designated for commercial uses and are zone B3, highlighting the area's establishment for commercial nature. This change to B3 would simply fit into the current commercial landscape, supporting the area's ongoing development and growth. To the extent in the value of the subject property diminished by the existing zoning, the current E5 state district zoning restricts the property to a large single-family residence, which limits its development potential and market appeal. As the property is vacant and undeveloped, the residential zoning hampers the ability to attract buyers and developers interested in commercial opportunities. In contrast to the surrounding area, particularly west of the property at the intersection of US 20 and Church Road, it already features several B3 zone lots, underscoring the established commercial character of the region. This trend highlights the mismatch between the property current E5 zoning and the area's commercial development. Rezoning it to B3 would align with the surrounding commercial uses and unlock significant potential. Is there any benefit to health, safety, and welfare of the public under the current zoning? The current zoning offers benefits like low density residential environment with large lots. However, the property is currently vacant, and the residential zoning limits its potential in uses and economic contributions. Is the property suitable for uses allowed under the current zoning designation? Well, despite this potential, the demand for large residential lots in the area is relatively low. Another question was, how long has the property been vacant under the current zoning designation? The property has been undeveloped since 1939, which means that it has been underutilized for 85 years. Historically, while there had been development in the area, the specific parcel in question has remained undeveloped during this period. Which we think that indicates that the current zoning might not be suitable for attracting development. Is there a need for the proposed use? We think there is a need for the proposed use. Currently, many small businesses in the area store their equipment in residential areas, which can lead to concerns about compliance and neighbor status. By rezoning this property to B3, we can provide these businesses with a dedicated, compliant location to store their equipment. Is the proposed use consistent with the McCarran County 2030 and beyond comprehensive plan? We do think so. The rezoning of the property to B3 aligns with the county's 2030 plan and comprehensive plan by making a productive use of the current vacant lot, integrates the property into the expanding commercial areas, supporting the smart growth and efficient resource use. The rezoning to B3 will attract new businesses, boosting the local economy and potentially reducing the property tax burden on residents.
Okay, we'll start with questioning on my right, Ms. Beverly.
Thank you. Sorry, I was caught.
Are you currently storing anything on the site at this time?
No, we're not.
And when did you purchase this property?
Early this year.
Earlier this year? Okay. Can you tell me a little bit about how dumpster storage works? Excuse me. I'm interested to know if there would ever be full dumpsters brought back to the site and how they're cleaned before they're returned to the site.
So my name is Salvador Gallardo. We live on Steeman Road. I operate the business, our business. So there will be no full dumpsters coming to the site. Basically what we do, we transfer dumpsters from job site to job site. So we offer rentals for homeowners, developers, construction contractors. But we will not bring full dumpsters on site. We take all the garbage to the recycling facilities. There's one on
What is it, 20? and
20
Parkville?
Corner, they just opened, and there's a couple more, the landfill in Rockford. So we won't bring any full dumpsters to a storage facility.
And are they cleaned when you dump them?
Yes, it's only basically construction debris or whatever homeowners, if they're cleaning their houses, then we have a lot of customers like that, decide to throw in there, which we got regulations that we don't take paint, tires, and, hazardous materials that has to be handled by professionals.
Right, okay. In your application is a little bit different than your testimony. You're talking about plans for future storage of recreational vehicles and things like that in your testimony. And would that require building a structure or buildings on site?
Yes, right now, like we said, we're a small owned operated business, so we don't have the funds to develop it right away. So we want to start with outside storage. And our vision is eventually to build, a structural building for, they're called condo storage units. So people can store their RVs, their classic cars, their boats, whatever they need to store, they can either rent them out or buy the units out, so they can store.
I feel the need to clarify for a moment that this is a request for B3 zoning. So any use allowed in our ordinance under B3 would be allowed on this property. This is not a conditional use where you're asking for a specific thing that we would condition then. This is straight B3 zoning, so anything allowed under B3 zoning would be allowed on this property.
So our plan is for the community and for us, I love classic cars and somewhere to store them. A lot of people have their RVs, trailers, sitting outside the properties. Does it look nice? Not sure, but this will create somewhere to take them.
Right, and that would be permissible under B3. That's exactly right, Renee, and B3 is forever. And you seem to allude in your testimony that you purchased this property because the existing B3s that were nearby were outside of your budget?
Correct. If you ask how much they are. Commercial properties already sold B3. They're asking millions. Small businesses can't afford that. I don't know if anybody here owns small businesses, but we can't afford it. Those are targeted for big corporations. Industrial parks. On Route 20, they're building industrial parks. It's coming that way. I don't know if that's what McCary County wants. I'm not sure if that's what the neighbors want, but it's gonna happen eventually. And only big corporations can afford that. I can't.
I understand. I think that's all I have for right now.
Okay, Mr. Schnabel.
In light of what I've heard so far, I understand somewhat your reasoning in your mind as far as what you're trying to accomplish. Were there any other properties that you looked at besides this one?
This one grabbed our attention because we live close by. And it's like we said, on the map that we have, most of them are on the site, on the corners, they're all from B3. So we figure it can't be that hard to convert it because you're already allowing B3 industrial parks, because that's what it seems like 20's building. And I don't know if people don't know, industrial parks, brings big trucks.
Yes.
Their dock areas, their distribution centers, their transfer stations. They just built some by the truck stop. That's what it seems like it's all gonna build.
B3 zoning is typically granted along state highways, as you note, especially on Route 20. But
Correct.
there is a difference between that and residential. May I ask you, if your B3 zoning request is not approved, what your future plans for this parcel might be?
I guess like all those parcels, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 parcels there. And I'm sure the owners, I could be wrong, I'm sure the owners they haven't built their house. So I'm sure there's like, we think it was, they have it, right now they're farming it, even though they're E5 for,
Residential state.
residential. But I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, it's like a investment. Maybe 20 years from now, another developer like walk in and handing in states, promising them 125 homes, can develop the land. And then we can sell. That's what I'm thinking if you're investors or, that's what I think they're thinking.
Thank you, that's all I have for right now.
Unbelievably, my questions have already been asked.
Mr. Eldridge?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a brief correction, if I might. The witness testified that this had been vacant and unused property for 80 some odd years. That is incorrect. This zoning has been since 2002. Prior to that, it was zoned agricultural, and agriculture is very much a use in this county. That's all.
Mr. Koza?
So it's been unused as E5 since 2002?
Yes.
Okay.
Then, I'm sorry, so I just want to clarify, then McHenry County records are incorrect as well? Because we got all this information from the McHenry County records.
In 1939, there was no such designation as E5.
Yeah, they've been empty for, but 1939, they'll be empty for longer than that. So.
Go ahead, Mr. Koza.
Oh, thank you. I'm up. Where is the existing location of Prime Roll-Off?
The existing location has been running out of my house right now.
Excuse me, meaning the storage of the 35 dumpsters that you presently have.
Like we mentioned, most of our dumpsters are
Are
on
out.
job sites. They're out.
Right.
So right now I'm running my operation out of my house, and that's why we're looking for a storage facility to we avoid that. Like any other small businesses in McHenry County, run land with 5 acres and plus, most of them have businesses.
Let me just help me then. So if I'm renovating a home, I contact your company, you bring an empty dumpster. Where did you get that empty dumpster to bring to my construction site?
Either
From a job site?
Either from a job site or from my house where I keep some.
But the disposal,
And I'd like one of you to speak or
Sorry.
identify yourself for the recording.
yeah, I'm trying to understand the disposal of the previous job site. How did that occur?
Sorry, Salvador, it goes to the landfill facilities
Right,
or transfer garbage stations,
right.
which there's Hampshire, Palatine, Cary, or Crystal Lake on Route 14. So we basically, so if you order a dumpster, we drop it off. You obviously,
Right.
use it, and Mrs. Donner orders another box. We'll pick your box up, and if she orders one by the time you're done, we'll pick yours. We'll go dispose of the construction debris, and then we'll drop it off at her residence.
You turn this all the way around without having a staging area for the dumpsters?
Most of the time, well, like we said, right now we own 35 boxes.
Mhm.
Right now we operate one truck full time. We own 3, but we operate 1 truck full time. That truck usually runs all day out on the roads most of the time. and it's moving boxes from job site to job site. Like I said, it's not just from homeowners, it's for construction developers. You've seen when they're building houses, they go through those boxes quickly, because they're disposing of the garbage, the extra material. Same thing as a construction area.
What attracted you to this location? What was your thought process?
Like I mentioned, we live on Seaman Road, basically Seaman and Church, and it's closer to our house. We seen on the records that there was some of those land is already sold B3. So that's why it attracted to us. And I guess if we don't get granted the zoning, it sits like the other 5. And hopefully one day an investor or developer shows up and buys it.
So am I correct that this location is not necessarily in proximity of your customers?
Well, our customers are all over. We don't have just, neighborhood customers. We do the whole Chicagoland area. We go from Rockford to Chicago.
Do you take any out-of-state construction debris?
No.
You don't take any organic material, food, rest
I
products?
mean, the only thing we've done a dumpster for manure for farmers, whenever they got animals, or we've done it for them, so.
And you carry no special waste or no controlled waste?
Oh, no.
Can you go over the weight of the vehicles again?
The weight of the vehicle empty, it's 30,000 pounds with the heaviest box, which is a 30-yard. It's plated like the garbage trucks, plate R at 54,000 pounds. So we can legally carry 12 tons, but like I said, we're not planning to take that to the storage facility.
So you were saying you're going to have 3 trucks on the property? How are those trucks fueled?
We own 3 trucks. They're straight, I don't know if people don't know what roll-off trucks look like. They're straight trucks. Basically like a bus, to picture it. So they're filled up at the truck stop. That's where we fill them up. Whenever the driver's done or whenever I'm done with the second one, we stop and fill up at the truck stop and then we park them.
So you don't do any fueling on site
No.
of the vehicles?
That's not right for the environmental.
But it is
It's legal, I
necessary.
see, a lot of places have it.
So good. It's necessary for that truck to go to that location, whether that location is Rockford or South Side of
Yes,
Chicago.
and we fill either every morning or afternoon at the truck stop.
And again, the cubic size of each one of those drop-offs?
We carry from 10-yarders to 30-yard. Our biggest is a 30-yarder.
You're saying that your operational times are from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Usually that's what we do. We leave in the morning at 6 and then come back around 3:30, 4 o'clock, 5 the latest.
So in that time period, using that original example, you would be leaving at 6 a.m. to take the empty dumpster from where to bring it where?
It depends on the customers.
Okay. So this is Mrs. Donner and myself.
So I plan running the business. I plan doing commercial dumpsters first, and then residential. We know they have residential subdivisions. We know they have an 8 o'clock courtesy in most of the towns. So by then, if we already did move around commercial ones, then we jump to the residential areas.
And just to clarify, again, because this is going to B3 zoning, there'd be no restriction on any hours, on anything. It's anything allowed in a B3 district. It's not like a conditional use where we would restrict hours or days or anything like that.
Yeah, but usually we don't start before 6 because even the construction zones, they start at 7 a.m.
You talked about putting a fence around your...
I'm sorry?
You talked about putting a 1 acre fence
Yes, we can either, I mean, if we grant it, whatever the county requires, we can do a 6-foot fence, 8-foot fence. If they don't, if people don't wanna see the dumpsters, we can do a solid fence. Whatever you guys require.
Why did you limit yourself to 1 acre of a 10-acre lot?
Because we don't need more for outside storage. And like we mentioned on our,
Narrative appendix A,
Yes.
page 14.
our plan is eventually build storage condos if we're allowed, to store stuff indoor. But as a small business owner, money's issues sometimes, We're not backed up by banks or investors.
You talk about having a small modular office, but then you also mentioned that there may be additional areas. Are there more than, how many buildings were you? This is
On our
point number
narrative?
2 of your narrative.
Okay, so yeah, what we were planning, it was to build a small unit, sort of a, modular office for our employees or our driver for winter time. They can have a place to go into, well, I don't know, the truck is warming up. And the other building that we were thinking of building was to keep equipment to maintain the property. For winter, we need something to clean the snow with, or during summer months to cut grass around or something like that.
Oh, yeah, so basically it will be like I drew it, basically be like a 18 by 42, but it'd be divided in the middle. It'd be one area will be like for office purposes, which our business is mostly phone and internet, and the other area just to keep a skid steer inside. So when it snows, we clean our path away.
You have a maximum of 3 employees? Does that include
Uh,
one more
right now
person
there's-
besides you, or?
Right now, there's only 2 of us, well, 3 of us with her. So the driver, which carries a CDL drive license, and me, that I carry a CDL driver's license. Like I said, right now, we operate 1 truck daily. We have 3 trucks because sometimes second truck needs to go out and the third truck's for backup. If 1 truck breaks down, we still gotta service our customers. I can't call them and say, I can't make it, or I can't pick up your box, get it on your way.
And again, in B3, you're not limited to a number of employees, and none of that is really relevant to, this is just B3 zoning, street B3 zoning.
Any interior, you say you're not gonna have interior or exterior lighting?
I'm planning, I know McHenry County doesn't require it, but I would like to have electricity to light up the storage area.
And the roll-offs are not clean at that location? They-
No, we're not a transfer station. We're not gonna bring garbage in, and that's what people think. We're not bringing garbage in or dropping garbage on site. It's just to store our trucks and our empty dumpsters.
35.
As of right now, 35, yes. But they're not gonna be on site at the same time, because the purpose of owning a roll-up is to have them out making money, not sitting there.
That concludes my questions, thank you.
It's done.
How long have you been in this business?
We opened our business about 3 years ago, and I've been in the construction business for 22 years.
Okay. How long have you been looking at locations for the business, or has this just been?
Honestly, we only looked for about, I don't know, a couple months, when we found this property.
Okay. And how many bins can you accommodate at your home now when they aren't out on the road?
When they're not out on the road. In my house right now,
That's-
my 6-acre lot, I can probably accommodate about 100 of them.
How many?
100 of them
100 of them on 6/8?
on my lot, yeah. Well, hold on, let me see.
Okay, maybe that's not the question I wanted to ask. You have 35,
I have 35, but
okay? At any given time, how many do you have at your home location on that 6 acres?
oh, how many are there? Well,
Yes.
probably about 10, 12.
Okay, so what you're really looking at here, or that I'm hearing that you're looking at, is you have 35, probably until your business gets more motivated and there are, that's maybe not the right word, but that's the word I'm going to use for now, is that once it becomes an area more conducive to B3, that you think you're going to have, you're only going to have a minimum number of dumpsters, I hate that word, dumpsters on that piece of property. It's not like you're going to have 35 there at any time. You really think you're going to have about how many?
Our goal is not to have none on site, because like I mentioned earlier to Mr.
Sure.
Wilson, is
Sure.
if they're out, they're making money.
So this is as easily for future development as it is for something immediate?
Correct.
Okay, and that's what it is you plan to do. Got it. And I'm thinking that at the moment I am finished with my questions.
Okay, and my questions are basically regarding just business zoning, because what you're doing with your business is totally irrelevant to really whether this is, because you could turn around tomorrow and sell it to someone else. If this is granted, you can turn it around to someone else and they could buy it for any of the uses that we have in B3. So what you want to do is really irrelevant to our need to decide, is B3 business district, is this the appropriate time for us to rezone this property from E5 Estate District to B3 General Business District? So I want to ask you, like, how far from a municipality is your property? Do you know?
Sorry,
Huntley, quite Huntley. How far is it?
like in town,
Like to city limits of a town? How far outside of town is your
my
property?
existing property,
This that you want rezoned?
all this,
What is it, how many miles?
from Marengo, I'm not sure how many miles is it? Maybe
20.
15 miles from Marengo, and if that, and Huntley is probably another 10 miles to the city.
So it's clearly not bordering a city.
No, it's not. This area is not bordering us, it is unincorporated.
Okay.
It's very close to Hampshire.
Well, Hampshire's another 10 miles from there. I mean, maybe the town itself, but if you see where most of the people live, it's kind of far.
I'm going to ask staff if you have any questions on the testimony.
No questions on the testimony. Reminder again to the board, to the public. This is, as the chair has mentioned, a request for rezoning. You need to focus on the 8 or 10 different standards that are appropriate to deciding whether this is an appropriate request.
Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open it up for questions from the public. And again, I want you to be respectful of the board, of the petitioners in your questions. This should be strictly related to their testimony, but also keeping in mind these standards for the map amendment that you see on the screen behind me and over to the right. This is what this board looks at to make this decision. This is what is in the ordinance that the county board has said you need to look at when you decide if something is changing from one classification to another. Not how many dumpsters or how many employees or any of those things. These things are the things that we need to look at in choosing this. So you can come up. I will start my 3 minutes. You'll need to identify yourself and let's see. Just a moment, please. Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, my name is Heather Case. I'm a veterinarian and I live on the 5-acre horse farm that is immediately across from the lot in question. And the question that I have for the petitioners is you had mentioned that some of your vision for the future in terms of storage units and so forth, the need to move them is because they're in a residential area and the concern was that that's not something residents want. So my question is, why would I then want to have a commercial property across the road from me when I moved to that property specifically because it was in rural estate zoning?
Are we allowed to answer?
Yeah, that's the purpose of
Oh,
it.
I'm sorry, I thought that we're gonna go on first. I'm sorry, go ahead and repeat that question again.
Absolutely. So my question was, in your testimony, you mentioned that the need for storage of a facility in a commercial property like this is because it's currently being done in areas near residential communities that would prefer not to have them there.
Correct.
My driveway is right across the street from this property, and I particularly picked this location for my horse farm because it's out in rural Huntley. And so my question is, why then would that not be the same scenario to have a commercial dumpster storage facility across from my residential property?
Well, like we said, our vision is to create opportunities for other small businesses. There are tons of small businesses around the area that are storing their equipment, not only us, but other businesses. So this would provide a facility or a place for them to store them and not to have them all over the neighborhood.
But it would still be in the midst of residential property.
Correct, which that area, the area you're next to you is already zoned B3 commercial.
And that was the other question that I had, if I may ask a second question. I think you had said something to it being just 400 feet from the corner, but I believe it's closer to 1,000. Can I get that clarified?
What I meant was our property line from their map is 440 feet from the existing B3 zone area.
On the actual highway?
No, on actually church.
I'm not aware of any commercial property that is,
That red area B3?
that's on Highway 20.
Well, and that's in church.
That's in Church Road.
That's on highway.
So you're
It is on Highway 20, but it all.
The access is Highway 20, that's what I wanted to
Well,
clarify. There is no
let me-
commercial property on
Well, there's no
Church.
existing commercial property there, but the lots are
That was my
B3.
clarification.
Oh, the lots are B3, and there's a frontage on the church, if you can see it on the map. That's,
And if I could add something,
Thank you so much.
And I would just add, according to the staff report, the parcel is 1,270 feet east of the intersection of Church Road and South Grand Highway. Another thing that I want to add is the board just did receive letters of objection from Coral Township and also from the neighbors, it's signed by over 30 people. But I don't know if all of them are neighbors, but I know several are. So anyone else wanting to ask questions? Okay, please come up and identify
I'm the
yourself.
property right next door, and I'm gonna give my 3 minutes to.
Please come up.
No, you need to come up and ask your own questions.
My name is Pete Marty, and I own the property immediately next to it. My question to you is, when you dump off the boxes, the transfer stations, or the landfills, where do you clean your boxes?
what do we clean up?
Where do you clean your boxes?
Our boxes are not dirty. It's construction debris.
I've been in the construction business 35 years.
Okay.
I've seen boxes more than I'd want to see
Question,
boxes.
sir. This is not a time
Well,
for,
I'm trying
you
to
can
put-
tell your experience when you make a statement, but right now you're just asking a question about his testimony.
So I own the property right next door. What makes you think that I would like a dumpster boxes next to me? If I'm gonna build a home, I'm gonna look at dumpster boxes and trucks backing up with beep-in horns. And then, once it's opened up to E3, you can do whatever you want. You can make it a transfer station. Am I correct?
I'm not planning to make it.
Well, I don't know what you're planning to, but once it's rezoned, you can do whatever you want.
I'm telling you, I'm not planning to make it a transfer station.
How about if you sell
Again,
a property?
as I said, anything.
I have
in
nothing
B3
further to
zone.
say.
Anyone else want to ask a question of the petitioner regarding their testimony, specific to their testimony? You can give comments later. This is just questions. Yes, sir.
Tom Palmer, living down on Church Road, east of it. My question is, when you leave your business with your 1 to 3 trucks, are you heading out to Route 20, or will you travel east on Church Road?
We will travel into the truck route, which is truck 20. Unless somebody calls that, like I said earlier, we do have dumpsters rental and.
Right, so no trucks going towards the residents on Church Road, including yourself? if I
Including
understand.
myself, that's why we choose that location, it's near 20.
And just to follow up on cleaning of the dumpsters, prevailing winds are from the west to the east. And if there is inadvertently stuff put in dumpsters that smell, those smells will most likely go to the east.
Was that a
And,
statement? You have a time for a statement later.
my question is, again, at the transfer stations, do they rinse them out? If not, is the plan to have a cleaning area hose at your property?
Maybe I'm not explaining myself. We're a dumpster company that, if I rent a dumpster to you, are you gonna throw like garbage, food garbage?
Somebody might, I'm
Or
saying.
throw, because
Yeah.
our dumpsters is for construction debris.
So you're saying
So our
drywall, whatever
dumpsters-
is dry, you dump it, it comes out as dust, and it's done.
Correct. It's done. Usually we don't have food garbage. That's why you have.
Usually, though, that's my question.
Yeah, that's why you guys have that's why residents have their garbage trucks.
But again, clearly, anything in B3, it's not necessarily what he's doing. Anything in B3 would be allowed in this district. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Maureen Hall. I live on Ridge Lane, which is in the subdivision next to Henning Estates. So I have a question. Is there any requirements for them to put in special lighting by the road for visibility with trucks going in and out? Since it'll be darker, that road already, there's been some bad accidents. It's kind of a more narrow road.
I know if I'm not mistaken, I know McHenry County doesn't need a lighting right away, but my plan is to do lighting at least in our area. If we get
So in the
grant.
back acre for now?
In the back and in the front, and the roadway.
The
coming-
front?
The driveway coming out.
So there'll be bright lights there next,
If it doesn't bother the
That
neighbor, if it
might-
doesn't bother the neighbors, yes.
might affect the
Sometimes,
neighbors.
sometimes neighbors complain about the high lights.
okay.
Any other questions?
I guess I do have.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Dave Mogdens from Algonquin. Can you put the requirements back up for the?
The standards for
the
amendment?
standards, yeah.
Sure.
So what I'm looking at is the community need for the proposed use. Now, if you can go back to the map, one of the things that I heard during the questioning phase is, go back a couple for me, please? Yeah, that these B3s here, the advantage of them, and the reason they're made B3 is so they can have access to 20. And that was the thinking when McHenry County actually made these zonings. And my question is how does it benefit the community to rezone this B3 when you've got access points here, and as you said, your dumpsters are dropped off everywhere from Rockford to Chicago? How does it benefit this community?
Well, like she said, those are B3 already, and she also says B3s allow everything.
No.
According to
B3's on 20.
Correct,
So
correct. That's
your
what I'm
access
going.
is on Church
That's what I'm
Road.
going.
So how does that benefit?
You're telling
the
me there's
community?
access on Marengo. There's no access to those lots right now. So when they decide to build to the industrial parks that buys them, they can make the access to Church Road.
And that's what they're advertising
They're
right now.
advertising right now one of the for sale signs on the bottom corner saying frontage entrance from Church Road. I'm not sure if you live in the neighborhood, but I do, and they're advertising on the for sale sign.
They still have to develop it. That's my only question. I yield my time.
I have one follow-up, if I may.
No, you had your time. Okay, we'll go to staff and testimony. Staff report, please.
Okay, the subject property is currently zoned E5, and the request is to have it rezoned to B3. There is a mixture of zoning in the quarter mile around this property. You have various estate classifications, and you have some commercial along Route 20 there. Your surrounding land uses, again, are mixed. Predominantly, it is an agricultural used area. There is some single-family housing that's in the area. The only currently used commercially zoned or used property is on 20, roughly a quarter mile south of Church Road there. Future land use designation for this area is for estate. Just a reminder to people that the request is for a rezoning. It is not for a specific use. So any and all uses that are permitted in the B3 can be considered by anybody who owns the property or leases the property. Staff, primarily because of the lack of commercial development in the area currently and the future land use designation of estate, we are not in support with this request.
I've got a couple of
I have questions too.
It is my belief that the nearest business use that is business use as opposed to business zoning is at Route 20 and Harmony Road, is that correct? Or very near that intersection?
So according to our land use maps, there is a commercial use that's across from the subdivision that's in the southwest corner of our maps here. I don't recall how close that is to Harmony at this point.
It's in between Harmony and Church.
Okay, so it's, but it's frontage on 20.
Correct.
And while the rest of it going up along 20 is zoned, it has been zoned B3 for several years.
Correct.
And as of now, there has been no development of it, is that correct?
That is correct.
And I would characterize Church Road in this area as a local collector road. Would you say that's a fair characterization?
I would.
And it is a township road, not a state road, is that correct?
Correct.
It's not a county road either,
I do not believe it is a county road. I believe it's a township road.
Okay, those are my questions, thank you.
I have some questions.
Yep, sure.
Typically when we see things like this where small business owners have E and A land, they are looking for a conditional use permit to operate storage facilities. Was that explored in this case prior to the application for B3?
Yes.
Okay. And so if we were doing a conditional use permit, we would be able to have in-depth conversations about lighting, access, parking, employees, things like that, and they would be held to it, and it would be part of the conditions of using the land for that purpose.
Correct.
And in this case, if we go to B3, this is all, I apologize for kicking this conversation off initially, this is all grossly irrelevant information. It could become an office industrial building, it could become anything. The B3 will run with the land forever.
Correct.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question.
No, you're not allowed to ask questions. I'm sorry, it's just the board questions. So, being no other questions, then we'll move to the public comment of this hearing. So anyone now that wants to make a comment, and again, I ask you to be respectful, and you will have 3 minutes, and you'll need to give your name and address. And while this first woman is coming up, I want you to know, I'll clarify with staff, because Coral Township has objected to this. The county will need a 3/4 vote in order to approve this, correct?
Let me verify that. If we have a jurisdictional objection, does that change the number of votes that the county board needs to approve it?
It does, and I would have to look up.
Okay, so the answer to that question, and that was our staff member Kit, and I never pronounced her last name correctly. I apologize. Kit is indicating that, yes, it would force a higher majority vote, but without our cheat sheet in front of us, I couldn't tell you exactly if that's 3/4 or what that generates.
Okay.
Okay, and I would like to take just a moment, if I may, to reiterate that we do have the 2 letters, one from Floral Township and another one that was initially signed by Heather Case and Joe What? Thank you, sorry, I've written their both names.
Not the first time.
These need to be brought into the formal record.
They are approved into the formal record. And I have the ordinance here, I'll look it up. Charlie is saying to me he thinks it's a 2/3 vote, so I'll have to look it up. But we'll go ahead and take your statement, ma'am, if you'd give your name and address, and then you have 3 minutes.
Carmela Bailey, 16915 Church Road, and I'm trying not to stroke out here, but I can't believe this is happening. My husband bought this property when it was pasture land in the 80s. We built our dream house on it, and it's the most beautiful place in McHenry County. And I don't know how it, I can't understand how this got this far. I understand that the property on 20, that makes sense. But Church Road is a little country road. And I'm sounding like an old lady, but we were married in the house by Judge Herman, who you all know, he's very special. My husband passed away in that house. We planted all the trees. A lot of the trees came in our mailbox. We passed our perennials on to people all over in McHenry County. We've been very involved in this area. And I've seen a change in the traffic on Church Road. There's a speed limit of 55 miles an hour. There have been 3 fatalities. You can tell by the flowers on the telephone poles. The road is posted for weight. I'm questioning the feasibility of these trucks from these people that we don't know running up and down our heaven on earth here. I'm questioning the damage to our road. I was able to find their house on Seaman Road after church on Sunday just simply by looking at the road in front of their house. Pull their residents up on your smartphones if you have them. They're already illegal with the business they're operating there, and the township knows it. If you pull them up on your, oh, slow down, lady. If you pull them up on your phone, you'll see they got all kinds of crap back there already. And they just took advantage of a sale price on our church road, which is heaven on earth, and it's just, it's not right. And my prayer would be that God would give each one of you the discernment and the wisdom to, there's some untruths here. And I pray that you'll fill that. Have you ever been down Church Road? I'm the first house off of Route 20. It's beautiful. Why? Oh, time. Okay. No, it's my heaven on earth.
I'm going to say We're not allowed clapping, yelling, hoorays, or nays, or whatever. I mean, this is a judicial hearing. It's just your testimony. It's not a rally, okay? Let's just have testimony, please. All right, go ahead.
Lori Cisneros, 9908 Harmony Hill Road, Lindo. I'm here on behalf of the township. I would like to read their letter from Bill Damish. Dear Chairman Kustra and ZBA members, the Corral Township Board, the Corral Township Plan Commission, and numerous residents oppose this petition 2024051 requesting a land use change from E5 to B3 for the following reasons. This request is not consistent with our land use map and the county's land use plan. The proposed zoning change is not consistent with the zoning of nearby properties. This change would most likely negatively impact adjacent property values, specifically Henning Estates, located directly east of this property. If approved, this land use change would establish an entering wedge of incompatible use and set a precedent for future planning. Oh, not well, I know that one. This land use change, which would allow the petitioner to operate a dumpster rental facility, would compromise the township road infrastructure, which has late limitations. And residents are also concerned regarding the amount of noise this type of business could generate. For these reasons, we respectfully request the ZBA vote to deny this land use change of E5 to B3. Sincerely, Bill Damish, Corral Township Supervisor.
Okay, anyone else would like to make a comment? Yes, sir. Come up.
Hi, my name is Jamie Leyva. I live in the Henning Estate subdivision. We moved in there a couple of years back when we were struggling to get the HOA back and take over and start building our community again. And our HOA board worked with the Corral Township to make us alive again. And I own a business in Schaumburg, and yes, I would love to have my business at my house where I wouldn't have to pay for a building every month and stuff like that, but it just seems like they're moving their dumpsters from their home to our home, and it doesn't seem like that's the place I would want to live. If I knew this was going on, we have a builder that came in and wants to turn our community into something very great, and I don't think a lot of people would want to buy houses when they pull in to see their home and have dumpsters sitting in the entranceway of your subdivision. So yeah, that's only, you know, I'm a small business, I get it, but there's got to be rules where you run your business, how you run your business, and how you do business. So.
Okay, anyone else? Yes, Mana.
Hi, my name is Sarah Mitchell, and I'm a resident down Church Road and also in my 25th year of selling real estate in the area. And I can definitely say that this will negatively impact the homes that bump up against it. You know, they mentioned that there's not a need for real estate or these estate homes now. That's thanks to the 10-year market crash and COVID and things like that. But it will come back, and people want it to be in our neighborhood. So I support that.
Yes, sir. Mana.
My name is Joe Joswiak, and I'm the president of the Association at Henning Estates. And I have an updated petition here. We have a few more names on it from the one that you received. If I could give this to you before, it's the original. And then my comments are, first of all, that, you know, we're concerned about the safety of the area, not in addition to the values of our houses, but the safety of the areas. 55 miles per hour if you're heading west on Church Road. There's a hill right in front of our neighborhood, and right when you get over that hill, you're going to be within about 300 feet of the entrance to that property. People are going 55 miles an hour, and with trucks pulling out of that property, it could definitely be a safety issue. We're concerned about the pollution issue, not only sound, but lighting and possible noise pollution. And of course, we're concerned about the values. In fact, I'm working with somebody right now who's looking to purchase in Henning Estates, because I'm in the mortgage industry, and that person has expressed a concern. He said, I heard from a real estate agent that they might be putting dumpsters right next to the property. So there's a concern for that maybe our neighborhood, which we've been working for about 6 years with the county, with Corral Township, to try to revitalize it after our builder went bankrupt. And now we finally have someone coming in there that is interested and will be applying for permits shortly to start breaking ground on the first couple of homes that have been built in there in a long time. So we're very concerned about it, and we would request that the request for a zoning change be denied. Thank you.
And you'll give her the copy of that letter?
This is the budget.
Thank you. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Again, Tom Palmer, Church and Fair Lane. Just want to make a comment. The Church Road is a township road. I've gone out and I've measured it.
Did you speak already? Give your comments, or you
No,
take
yes,
questions?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, you go on, you're fine.
So Church Road is a township road. I've gone out and measured it with just a standard 25-foot tape measure, and it's 20 feet wide. Church Road is 20 feet to the inch. It's not marked, which is fine. It has no markings down the center or off to the side. And immediately, when you pull in by this nice lady's home, that's the measurement there as well. In fact, there's been a pothole on that corner for decades that we just kind of drove around. So the point there is there's no deceleration lane on 20, either this way or that way. So it is a small road, and that road is the address of this property, even though it's 1,000 feet. It's a very narrow road, 20 feet to the inch.
Anyone else want to make a statement? Yes, sir, come on up.
My name is Henry Siebert. I live at 16607 Church Road. I have a concern, a lot of it has to do with the road, traffic, and the noise. I lived on a busy road in Arlington Heights, which is probably the reason I moved out here. And there was dumpster trucks going down the road, and they make a lot of noise, they do a lot of rattling. The other thing is, when the trucks back up to the dumpsters, OSHA requires them to have that beeper, so you can be listening to that all the time, especially at 6 o'clock in the morning. And obviously other pollution items, but that's my concern. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, yep, come on up.
My name's John Stabb. I live on Wooddale Road in Union, which is.
I know him.
Right,
We built the McDonald's complex in
Let him have his 3 minutes.
I'm sorry, it's an old lady thing.
This committee, I think a few months ago, had a very similar question put before them on Marengo Road near Seaman. And the petitioner wanted, it was zoned ag, and they wanted B3 as well. And they were gonna park trucks or semi-trailers. And one of the insightful members pointed out just a very simple zoning point. I studied landscape architecture in school and took some classes in urban planning. And it struck a tone. And I think the term was called spot zoning, which basically is a little island oasis of a just coordinate type of zoning within other areas. And I think just for that reason alone, unless the petitioners contacted the 2 adjacent neighbors, one of which may not work so well, to do the same B3, it certainly isn't compatible and definitely meets the standard of spot zoning, which to zoning wonks knows you would know that that's kind of number one is okay. So I would request that you would deny.
There was one other person, I think, over here that wanted to speak. Yes, sir.
That's amazing.
My name is Douglas Warziniak. I live at 10305 Ellery Lane in Henning Estates. And my concern is environmental. The gentleman stated that when he brings his containers back, they dump them, brings them back to the yard. Okay, there's all kinds of debris that goes in these containers. Some of it can be hazardous. Even though he dumped them, there's wind that blows dust all over. Also, if it rains, the chemicals or whatever was in the dumpster can come out. and it can affect the area around. We have ponds in Henning Estates. They're all interconnected, so if one gets contaminated, they're all going to be contaminated. So that affects the ability for us to live there, to sell our home, or whatever we do in the future. I believe that the committee should vote this down because the EPA, if you're going forward with this, the EPA has to come in and evaluate what's happening to the property. If you're going to put something D3 in the area, well, the homeowners and that should be, they should be able to be reassured by the Environmental Protection Agency that it's not going to contaminate any of our properties.
As mentioned earlier, Heather Case, 16837 Church Road. This is the road in front of my property that we're talking about, and my pasture. This is my home. I spent 17 years looking for this property after moving to Illinois to find my quiet country life and have quiet enjoyment. And I just want to share that I've read the McHenry County, not every line, plan for 2030. We're all neighbors. We're all part of this community. But what strikes me is that there are ample other locations where this business could be run in land that is already zoned appropriately. And so I would just implore you and ask you to please vote no on this zoning change. And I thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, at this time,
Madam Chair?
Art McPhail, 10409 Fair Lane. My comment would be it's already been mentioned how we are starting to really grow and move west. 47 is building up really nicely and stores and everything are coming in. And as we start moving west, we're going to be bumping out all the homes and residentials, which they're already starting to do, are moving in that direction. So my comment is as a community, we need to kind of like look long range and kind of think about the type of businesses that would actually benefit our community when 20 starts building up. Which businesses are going to be in there to help us in our area. And so also on 20 or Church Road, it's not real desirable to pull out on the 20 as it already is, let alone Church Road. You know, so it's kind of like not a great place to have an exit or coming in. So, so just to say again, as we go forward into the future, I think a big, broad brush looking at where we want to go all together going forward and what we let be placed along 20 or in other areas.
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
With your permission, I'd like to make 2 clarifying statements to questions that the board had asked. Okay. So you specifically had asked about the number of votes that would be required if this board were to put it down. The county board would have to have 3/4 vote in order to approve this request.
And that's because of the township objection letter.
Correct. Okay. The question that Ms. Beverly raised in terms of whether this had been explored as a CUP, the answer is correct. Okay. You had raised a question as to whether a CUP had been explored, a conditional use permit had been explored for this property. The answer is correct that it was explored, but not under the B3 classification. It was explored under a B1 or B2 classification.
Okay.
So conditional use is not an option for this use under B3.
And can you please explain why B1 or B2 would be preferable, just for the record?
It was explored as an option so that there'd be more control, because conditional use permits could be used for this use. It was not necessarily explored as an appropriate zoning district for this area, but more so it could control the use if the use was a desirable use.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Chairman? So what I think you're trying to explain is that the B1 and the B2 offer more control for the county in terms of oversight on a conditional use on those two versus a B3, that a B3 offers the landowner broad discretion.
Correct.
To do whatever they need to do without oversight, okay.
Correct.
Okay, would you like to give a closing statement?
Sure. So we respectfully ask the board to approve our request to rezone our parcel from E5 to B3 commercial. This decision is just not about our dumpster rental small business. It's about transforming a long residential vacant property into a valuable resource for our community. Our plan is to use this site for outside storage now, with further potential development in the future, supporting other small businesses in the McHenry County area. As previously mentioned, existing commercial zone areas are financially out of our reach for small businesses, and having an affordable designated area for businesses to operate and store equipment not only aids their success, but has a ripple effect that can foster creation and help boost creation of jobs, and help boost economic growth. We believe this vision aligns with the county's goal for smart growth and effective use of resources. We understand the concerns expressed by the township and nearby residents. However, our operation plan will have a low impact on the community, resulting in minimal traffic noise. Empty dumpster containers stored on site will not strain local growth. Our proposed use will enhance the developing commercial character of the area. Granting this rezoning request is a step forward for a more vibrant and diverse community. It will demonstrate the commitment from McHenry County to support local small businesses and make a productive use of the current vacant lot. We ask the board to consider the positive impact this project will have and the support of our efforts to benefit the community and local small businesses.
Okay, at this time, we'll close the hearing portion of this meeting. And everybody okay? Nobody needs a bathroom break? We can just go on to the voting portion? Okay, so we'll move on to the voting portion of the meeting. So at this time, I would entertain a
Madam Chairman,
motion.
I move for the purposes of discussion, approval of the petition.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, seconded by Ms. Gardner to approve this petition. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, this is a request for a map amendment converting this presently a E5 10-acre parcel on Church Road in Coral Township from to B3 general commercial. I'm going to oppose this petition for a variety of reasons. First, as the gentleman pointed out, I think it is clearly spot zoning. The commercial that is approved along Route 20 was approved specifically because it was at intersections on a state road. Church is a local collector. It is basically a farm road and a residential road. It is not designed for heavy traffic, nor should trucks be going on it, except the few exceptions of public safety vehicles and things like garbage trucks. It doesn't matter that it's fairly close to the intersection. It doesn't matter if it's a quarter of a mile or 15 miles. The road is not suitable for heavy commercial use. And in fact, I would recommend to the county staff that in my view, at least, this kind of outdoor storage is really an industrial use, not a general commercial use. And I would suggest that there be consideration given to eliminating it being a use of right in the B3, because other kinds of storage, outdoor storage, are fine, but I have been affiliated with construction companies for 60 years, and I appreciate that the gentleman has regulations and tries to prevent inappropriate things from being put in his dumpsters, but he can't stop it. People will hide stuff in the middle of a dumpster, and there will be residue, even if you may try to prevent it. And I would much prefer that this kind of boxes be stored paved somewhere where there are public utilities. It is the policy of the county to encourage commercial use, except for the occasional commercial use along a major arterial, either in or adjacent to municipalities. And this is nowhere near a municipality. So not only is it spot zoning, but it is an inappropriate use in this area generally, because this kind of use, except for occasional spots along major arterials, should be in a municipality or adjacent to a municipality. I believe that the county has a use for this this kind of thing, but once again, it is not our job to speak to the specific use, because once it is converted to B3, the dozens of uses that are permitted within B3 can be used either by these folks or by any subsequent purchaser of the property. And the B3 will be there forever. Church in this area, the expected development of it are country subdivisions and country estate homes. And in my view, the storage of commercial or industrial equipment, which these boxes are, is completely inappropriate adjacent to them. And for those reasons, I will be voting no.
Ms. Gartner.
I think that you have a good business plan, and I applaud you for your future plans to expand it into something else. But the fact is that it doesn't matter if you came here telling me you wanted to sell flowers on your property and sell them on the road. A business is a business, and once that's a business property, it's a business. I mean, if your business doesn't go and you sell this land, anything can come in. I mean, it could be any major business. It could be a shopping mall. It could be a gas station. It could be any kind of big business. A Target could come, well, probably not on 10 acres, but anything that large could come there, which is not conducive to this area, in my opinion. I am going to vote against this, and it has nothing to do with your business. I do wish you luck with it. I hope you do find a place to do this. I don't argue that it's, possibly needed by the community, that it is, it's a sound business plan as far as I can tell. But I don't think this is the place for it, and it has nothing to do with Church Road being the most beautiful road in the world. I think I live on that road, which is not Church Road. We all think we live on beautiful roads. But you have a beautiful house. So it has nothing to do with any of that. I just feel that to put this business zoning in this particular area is just wrong for the area. Not necessarily for the people, not necessarily for anything else. It's just, it's not a zoning that I approve of at all for business there. I think it needs to stay E5. It may be developed, it may not. It looks to me it had been farmed at some point, which isn't exactly, vacant or, not functioning in any way. But I'm just not in favor. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Mr. Cozen.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. With the information that's been given, I came to the decision of my vote, first and foremost, with the staff statement that there is an amount of undeveloped commercially and zoned property along Grand Highway. But that in alone does not bring us to my vote. The standards under the development ordinance to do a map amendment is actually a balancing test. And while I may have been searching to understand the use of the B3, nothing of the approval standards is offset by that balance between what is presently there, the nearby properties, and whether or not the public benefit would be promoted by a change in that existing use. It would be very simple and brief if I too could embrace spot zoning as some pejorative term, but regrettably there are spots all over the county, and I alone among my peers here wrestle with it on a regular basis and appreciate the dialogue we have. And so with that, to no further delay, my vote will be against this application.
Mr. Schnabel.
I also agree that this does not only not meet one map amendment requirement, in my opinion, it doesn't meet several. I won't waste everyone's time with that. But I agree with everything that's been said, and I will not support this particular petition.
Ms. Beverly.
Thank you. I also agree with what's been said by my colleagues. I understand that this property is convenient and that this area is looking to be developed, but there are numerous areas throughout the county and municipalities that would be willing to work with you that would have far greater oversight than a county would over a B3 district. B3 is forever, and we've had cases like this come up before, and they've been denied at this level as well. So I will be opposing this position.
Ms. Donner.
I read the staff report and their recommendations. I went out to the property to see what was going on and what's there. It has been eloquently, truly, Mr. Cozen, honest to God, stated that unfortunately I'm going to have to vote against it, but you have a piece of property that you purchased already without any kind of a condition of getting your zoning first. So you can hope that as everything, as I said originally, starts to grow and becomes different in small increments, something like this may be available. And I don't see how it's going to hurt your business by saying no at this time. So I have to say no.
And I would just like to go through a few comments on the land use plan. So the McHenry County 2030 and beyond plan, big idea is let's make our communities healthy, active, and green. And we do that by promoting development that is compact, contiguous to or located within municipalities in order to preserve rural landscapes while providing greater mobility choices for all residents. And as the petitioner stated, I mean, there's several miles from the nearest municipality. The nearest one seems to be Hampshire, and that's about 2 miles away. And so this goes directly against that goal of the land use plan. Again, as Mr. Eldridge stated, the nearest commercial development is south on 20. There's other rezonings, but for B3, but they haven't even been put into use because this is just too far to make it practical for a B3 zoning. And I don't think it's not compatible with the residential zoning around it. And I agree with the other comments of my colleagues. And so I just don't believe this is appropriate, an appropriate change of use. So I will be voting against this. So I will call for the vote. Again, the motion was to approve. So if you are opposed to this, you would vote no, nay. Mr. Eldridge?
No.
Ms. Gardner?
No.
Mr. Cozen?
No.
Mr. Schnabel?
No.
Ms. Beverly?
No.
Ms. Donner?
Nay.
And I will vote nay. So now I would take a motion to...
Madam Chairman, I move denial of the petition.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? So a vote here would be, aye would be for denying. Mr. Eldridge?
Aye.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Aye.
Mr. Schnabel?
Aye.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Ms. Donner?
Aye.
And I will vote aye, so this is approved, or this petition is denied by 7-0 vote. At this time, the public hearing is for this petition and is closed. Do we have any other old business or announcements or anything?
I gave the board packets for the next 2 meetings. The next meeting is on Halloween.